as an industry, we historically have not done too well at reclaiming and recycling refrigerant.
This is true. You can reuse this refrigerant over and over and over, limitless amounts of times.
Right.
So why wouldn't you do that?
Why they don't want to reclaim or recycle.
So why don't they want to do it? Let's see.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. You know, one of the big things of the HVAC Accelerated Success program is we are really focused on your success, your profitability, giving you more process, giving you more freedom, giving you more time, however you may define success. Our hope is by you subscribing to this or by you following us on YouTube, that you will be able to find those little nuggets that help you find the success that you're looking for.
The information presented is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are not necessarily the opinions of any Daikin company. This information should not be confused for accounting, legal, medical, or other professional advice. Please seek advice from a qualified professional for any specific questions.
Welcome to the Accelerated HVAC Success program. My name is Ben Middleton. I'm the Director of Sales and Business Training over at Daikin Comfort Technologies. Today we are in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm joined by Michael Ragan. Michael, you oversee all of our refrigerant reclamation.
Yes, sir, I do.
So the first question I ask everybody is, how in the world did you get into HVAC?
Ah, okay. Good question. Long story. Well, I started back in the day when I was a young kid. My uncle was an Amana dealer.
Oh, really?
And he was a Amana dealer for like 40 plus years. And he used to pick me up on Saturday mornings. And I'd be his helper. And then shortly after that, I finished school and did some college. And then one day I was going to join the Marines, right? I needed some college money. And the Marines were looking for a few good men, and they found me. So I said, you know what? I want to have a job. I told the recruiter, I said, look, I want to have a trade. That's what I want. I'll give you 4 years, but I want to trade. So I want to do something in case I don't finish college. I can come out, I could use my hands and go to work. And they gave me a list of things to choose from, and I seen HVAC and electrical. So I was like, well, what's up with this basic refrigeration and electrical? And I was like, how about that one? He's like, yeah, we can do that. And you could leave in June. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So 20-something years later, here I am.
So tell me a little bit about your HVAC experience in the military. What was that like?
So it was another world. It was more like commercialized products. It was all three-phase, everything from radar vans to satellites and shelters and of course, refrigeration vans where we kept our food. But we deployed in places and set up electrical grids, and we powered things that enabled us to communicate back to the real world. And that was my job. It was never anything about comfort for us. like residential was comfort for us, but this was all about comfort for the equipment. So it was more like environmental control for the electronics.
So what brought you over to Daikin?
Well, I was unemployed. Actually, I got laid off, but I was on a severance, and this company I was working for actually lost a few contracts, and they started laying people off. And then, I had my military retirement, so I wasn't really too worried. But one day I got a phone call from a Daikin recruiter, and next thing you know, I was in an office and getting interviewed and had the job. So it worked out well for me.
And you've done several things, right? You've been on the technical services team doing some technical training.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You've been on the product management team, and you've managed product portfolios.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And then and today, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I did that. Like you said, I was product manager. I came in on a technical side. I have a technical background. I was a product manager when I left the Marines, and I got hired onto the technical side with Daikin. And I eventually made my way being a product manager again. And then I got recruited over into the engineering world where I was managing products. So I launched the A2L products. I launched the CR2 products. And then from there, I got recruited over to the PMO group where I ended up being a project leader for the R-32 products for all the outdoor stuff. So, and here I am. After that, I am doing the reclaim thing. I got recruited by Mr. Walker over here to the EPO, the Environmental Promotions Office. And, I'm working for the best man, the best boss I've ever had, Mr. Mark Hagan. And, when you love your boss and leadership and you got the best of everything, it just enables you to perform so well. So,
I mean, there's been some interesting statistics I've heard in terms of reclamation. As an industry, we historically have not done too well at reclaiming and recycling refrigerant.
this is true. So, yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because in the last 6 months, I've done some traveling through Texas, and I talked to a lot of customers and dealers. And, I was talking to them mostly about the phase down, this really aggressive phase down that's we're in the middle of right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know about it. And I've talked to folks who maybe needed a few more recovery machines on their trucks. Talked to folks that just pumped units down and just sent it to a scrapyard. And there's a lot of folks that didn't even know about the phase down. So, and then, some folks out there that really need to go back to the EPA regulations and read and go, okay, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that. Right? So, but, we're not always the best at this stuff, but, you got to promote it and you do the right thing. And, and doing this reclaim thing and recovering as much refrigerant as we can is just the right thing to do.
So I think there was a lot of concern. I remember we did a road show and we went and talked to a lot of contractors back in 2022. And we called it Preparing for 2023 because there was going to be this big drop in supply for refrigerants that was coming. And we were telling everybody, hey, when this comes, it's going to be a big deal. But that kind of came and went. And I don't think anybody really noticed a huge change in the supply of R-410A.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's really what we're talking about today, right? We're talking about R-410A. But in 2029, there's even a bigger reduction in the amount of R-410A that can be imported into the U.S. or created in the U.S., correct?
The production. So I'm glad you said that. I want to show my flyer, right? We have this flyer that we've been giving out at the desks of all of our stores, but it explains the phase down that a lot of folks don't know about. So as I've been traveling the U.S. and kind of going around and introducing this to people, a lot of folks are saying, well, Michael, is this real? Is this really happening? Did this take place? Did it get approved? I'm like, yeah, it did get approved. So, back in 2021, we're in the middle of COVID.
Right.
And that's when the EPA passed that ruling. So in 2022, we actually did a phase down of 10% of R-410A, or all HFC production, which includes R-410A. So in 2024, it went to 40%. And it shows you here on this fancy chart, right? In our stores, we'll have this flyer that explains this. But in 2024, we went to 40%. So it's a 15-year phase down. And a lot of folks don't understand is that the first half of that 15 years is the most aggressive part of that phase down. So we went to 40% in 2024. About less than 3 years from now, we're going to be in 2029. We're going to do a 70% phase down on production of HFCs, which includes R-410A. So it's kind of scary. It makes folks nervous, and it makes me nervous that the folks out there don't really know this stuff.
Well, and the big thing is think about it. Well, Michael, that's fine. R-410A.
Yeah.
None of the units have R-410A in it anymore. We've already moved to R-32. Why should I care?
Well, why should you care? Because I'm glad you brought that up, because we just got finished. We just finished up installing R-410A products last year.
Right.
So, and I'm thinking that some folks might have some things on the shelf, but R-410A was just installed last year. So think about all the great products, especially our products, right?
Yeah.
That are going to go 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
15 to 20 years. So let's just think, and Daikin products have 12-year warranty. So just think, when Mrs. Jones calls up an HVAC person and he says, well, I don't have this R-410A stuff, so how about we sell you a new unit? She's going to be like, whoa, hang on a second, this thing's still under warranty.
Right.
Why can't you find me some new stuff? Find me some stuff out there. I know it's out there, right?
Right.
So that's why we're promoting this reclaim. It's like, okay, we need to start doing better at it. We need to, and Daikin, of course, wants to be number one, right? They want to be number one at this program, the EcoClaim program, where we're going out and talking to everyone we can reach. And I'm starting in a Texas region, of course, and letting people know, hey, we need to start recovering as much of this stuff as we can, because in the future, less than 3 years from now, we're going to be at a 70% phase down.
So I saw a great presentation that Nathan Walker and Mark Hagan did, I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just talking about all of the reclaimed refrigerant that we've already brought in.
Yes.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I don't know if you know this or not. Do you know how much refrigerant that Daikin has already reclaimed through this program, or roughly about how much, where we're sitting at?
That's a good question. You know, I don't know the exact amount. I know that it's been really successful so far. 2023 was like a real breakout year for Mark Hagan. He was out there running the program and traveling like a madman. And of course, he put the word out and he started it. And I don't know the exact number, but I know it's been pretty good. We slipped a little bit in 2025. We actually offered double in the cost. We have these flyers, you know, that we have in our stores that we promote that we are buying this refrigerant. Right? Remember the old days where we used to
Contractor had to pay?
We had to pay to turn it in.
Yes.
So nobody turned it in.
Yes.
Well, now we're buying it. And a lot of folks still don't know this, that Daikin in our stores, we're buying refrigerant from people.
And actually, under yours and Mark's leadership, you've made it very easy for a contractor. So you've got some of the reclamation tanks that are here, right here.
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
We have A2L tanks. We have regular tanks in our stores. And the way it works is we let folks know, hey, bring in your full refrigerant tank of R-410A, R-22, and we will exchange your tank for free. You get a brand new tank, just like this one. And we'll buy it off your hands, right? So if it's R-410A, we'll pay $30 for a 30-pound cylinder, $50 for a 50-pound cylinder. And we'll give them a fresh tank. And that goes back to one of our reclaim vendors. You can see here, those tanks are made by iGas.
Yeah.
They, we'll send iGas or one of our other vendors out there, and they send it back to their factory, and it goes through and gets cleaned up and gets reused. And the beauty of the reclaim process, right? A lot of folks don't know this, is that you can reuse this refrigerant over and over and over, limitless amounts of times.
Right.
So why wouldn't you do that? It's like, okay, we'll see this potential shortage coming, and we know we can reuse this stuff over and over again.
And that doesn't impact. So yes, they can still produce 30% of what they did at peak production of the refrigerant. But if I reclaim, I might have 60% left. I might have 70%. You know, we could even get to 100% if everybody did their job.
Absolutely.
And was reclaiming and recycling.
That's what we're trying to get out there as a word. Look, we got to do our part. Everybody's in this together. Just like this last year, we saw some spike. We're trying to prevent what happened like last year with the spikes in refrigerant prices, right? Especially with the competitors' refrigerant. Big shortage with that. So we kind of see the same thing that could happen with this.
Yeah.
So we're saying, hey, look, let's prevent that from happening.
So for all of the Carrier, Lennox, Trane dealers that might be listening to this, can even those guys stop by any one of our branches and get a new jug? Just go ahead and turn it in?
Turn it in. That's all we ask. And you know, even if you're not carrying our products, right? And you're coming in our stores and buying parts or whatever, you can come in and bring your jugs in.
Yeah.
And still turn it in. Anybody can come in. Any refrigeration or air conditioning person can come in and turn in their recovered refrigerant, and we'll give them a brand new cylinder as long as it's full.
Yeah. So you've been traveling around. You've been talking to a lot of contractors. What are the biggest reasons that you hear from contractors just as to why they don't want to reclaim or recycle?
So why don't they want to do it? Let's see. I've heard a few stories. It just takes too much time. The biggest thing is, why do we do this? Why are we doing this? Why can't I just send it to the scrapyard already in equipment? But or I don't have the equipment on my truck. But the biggest thing is, you know, that's one of the excuses. It's not really one main reason, but there's just multiple reasons why they don't want to do it.
And it's the time, it's the effort that goes into it. But to your point, if you go back and you look at the EPA refrigerant card that you got.
Oh, yeah. Let's go back to the EPA and read that again, you know, and say, hey, look, this is what you need to do, you know. And I'll be honest, back in my military days, you know, we had some practices that weren't the best. And we had to step up and say, look, you know, we all eventually got that EPA card. And I would go tell people in the middle of nowhere, overseas in different countries, look, make sure you put that stuff back in that tank, right? We need that.
So, and R-410A is a little bit different than R-22 or R-32. when we think about those, because I remember back when I was a contractor, we actually had our own recycling machine in our shop. And so we could actually run R-22 through the whole entire machine. We could clean it, and we could reuse that R-22 after we had cleaned it and ran everything through in our shop. And so that actually saved us money. And so we just had a warehouse guy that broke everything down. We made sure that we recycled all of our stuff. So, when I hear contractors say I don't have time, I know plenty of contractors that will take the steel and put it on one side and the copper and aluminum on another side, because they know there's value in reclaiming or in recycling that copper and aluminum and bringing that into the scrapyard themselves. I know a lot of companies that use that as their Christmas fund money. And so here's just another revenue stream where, hey, get your guys to do it and say, hey, with this credit, we're going to throw a big party at the end of the year. And so every time you guys go ahead and reclaim and recycle, and Daikin's going to pay for our party.
There you go. Well, I'll add to that. One of the things that a lot of our contractors, dealers brought up was, how about if we just have our technicians bring the tank in and they get credit? So when they need a new tool or whatever they need, they have their own little account, or they come to they dip out of our account, they take their money out of there and buy a new recovery machine, a new set of gauges, or a new whatever, nut drivers, or whatever they need on a truck. If it's a brand new tool, or even installer crew, right? They might need a new set of reds, or like, one of those tools that you spread Pookie with. Who knows?
Yeah.
That mask, for those out there that don't know Pookie, that's mastic.
Yeah.
In Houston language. But yeah, it's one of those things and it works out great. Those guys go in there, they turn in their products, or they turn in a tank, and then they have credit to go buy something.
Well, Michael, the last thing I always kind of do in any one of these interviews is I always ask the question, do you have any kind of final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would want to share with our contracting audience that we have out there?
I sure do. Do the right thing, right? Let's think about the future. Let's think about the HVAC world and where we're going now. I mean, it's moving fast. If you think about it, the R-22, when we started with that phase down and went to 410A, we had a long time. It wasn't as aggressive, but this new phase down is really aggressive, and we're almost halfway through it. So let's get the word out to everybody else that and let them know that, hey, we need to all do our part. And remember Daikin, we're going to take that tank in. We're not going to charge you for it. And on top of that, we're not going to charge you for mixed gases. A lot of folks are charging for mixed gases. Well, we'll just take that off your hands and give you a brand new tank for that. So let's do our part and make the environment safer.
Michael, thank you so much. Love having you on the show. Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. For all of you that are out there, if you like this episode, please go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if you're listening on the podcast, make sure that you're subscribed so you can be informed of all of the upcoming episodes that we have. Until next time.